Mateo, what's going on, bro? How was your weekend, dude? Oh, we're live, dude. I started a YouTube channel because we got to get on YouTube. Guys, Bishop Barron just got 1 million followers. I gotta come for him. Christ is King just got confirmed. Dude, congrats. Welcome to the family. Welcome to the family. Dude, congrats. My best friend actually just got baptized, confirmed, first communion. The trifecta on Easter, so that's cool. You know, no big deal. My best friend just became Catholic. I'll take an assist on that. We'll give a majority to the Lord and Savior, but I'll take an assist. A lot of late night conversations. It's good. It's good. It's actually what I'm talking about tonight. We're going to talk about religion and sales, how similar they are. Super interesting. Yeah, I think you guys are going to love this. So let's get it rolling. Let me start the podcast. All right. So in today's episode, I want to talk about how religion is like sales. This is really interesting to me because it's what I do. I sell. I talk to people online, and I talk on the phone call with them, and then I try to convince them that, you know, my program is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And be back on the grind. Gotcha. So yeah, let's talk about religion and sales. I sell a lot, and I'm also pretty into religion, if you can't tell. And so they're in my mind a lot, and there's a lot of similarities. So I want to talk about them. But first, I want to start with like a big lesson I learned, a takeaway from religion and sales. So as you guys know, I started a business and started coaching Catholic men, and I really wanted to grow. And so I decided to look for inspiration because I had to convince people to join my program. It wasn't like they were just standing outside my apartment door and handing me money. And so I had to learn how to sell. So I went and read all the classic books. I remember Googling best books on sales. And I read the Little Red Book of Selling, and I read To Sell is Human. And I just started reading all the classics from the 70s when they're talking about I don't know, just tactics that you don't use anymore because the mediums are just no longer in existence, like payphones and stuff. Anyway, so then I found Andy Elliott, who's a guy online, and you guys might know him. He's a very famous salesman. He's #1 sales trainer in the world right now. His company's 9 figures, I think. He just passed 100 million. Anyway, really great salesman, but I started binging his stuff because it seemed like he knew what he was doing. And I learned a lesson from his content, which was when you sell something, you're not selling the item or the service. You're selling a solution to somebody's problem. You're selling a solution to somebody's problem. That's what you are. You're a problem solver. How interesting. How interesting. So this helped me skyrocket my sales because I no longer looked at myself as a dude who's trying to get money. It's I'm solving problems. I'm a problem solver. And so this is really interesting because if we love people, which we do, we want to solve problems for people. That's really at the heart of it. Why we try to get people to follow the faith is because we're this guy's got a big problem, no salvation. So we got to solve that problem. We got to get him in. And so we try to cajole him and talk to him, build rapport, and try to do all these, maybe not cajole, but get people involved and get them to, we try to get them to tell us their problems, and then we try to solve it with the faith. Really interesting. So what lesson did I learn? I learned that all religious people are salesmen because if you're trying to sell to someone and you're failing, they don't believe that what you're selling is the solution to their problems. Okay, now we know that the love of Christ is going to solve a lot of problems for, let's say, an atheist. And if you try to, let's just create a silly scenario where we're hey, you should join the Catholic Church because you're depressed and mean and you protest and you have blue hair. And they go, no, I'm not doing that. Okay, so at a base level, they don't believe that what we're selling, what we're having is the solution to their problems. Okay. So what does that mean with sales? That means that's a classic sales situation where it's buy this thing. I don't want to buy this thing. Then the salesman comes in. And what's the point of a salesman? He's trying to change that belief. So a salesman's job is to break beliefs, right? So if someone just comes up and is I want to buy this thing, and then there's no need for the salesman. But a salesman comes into play when the guy he's I want to buy this thing. Or someone's like, you should buy this thing. And the other person's like, no, I don't know if I should. No. Boom. That's when the salesman's ready, because the guy needs help making a decision. And that's when it becomes sales. So the point of the salesman is to break the belief that what is being sold is the solution to the prospect's problem. How interesting. That is exactly what we're doing in religion. That is exactly what we're doing in religion. We're breaking beliefs and erecting new ones. That's all we do. That's all we're doing with these people. And so if you think of religion like that, which is totally how, and you guys see how similar the steps are with religion. So step one in sales is to build rapport. You chat with people, get them to like you. Okay. If we brought, an atheist to a church gathering, what are we going to do? Hi, how are you? Or like a guy's applying to, hanging out with the vocation director of a parish. What's the vocation director going to do? Give him a beer, hang out with him, give him pizza, build rapport. So, okay. So it's so similar. Okay. So the reason I want to draw this connection between religion and sales is because the tactics that work for sales are the tactics that work for religion. And they're also the ones that I think Catholic men suck at as a whole. And we need to level up. Okay. So Catholic men are very good at their reason and their logic and their summa and knowing all their theological arguments and who wrote what at the Council of Trent and what was in Vatican II and Lumen Gentium and all of it. Okay. If I were to ask you, what are the best tactics to sell something to someone? Do you think if I was like, what weapons are you going to use to sell somebody? Do you think the first arrow you draw from your quiver is going to be reason and logic? Have you ever bought anything in the world ever based on reason and logic? Has any advertisement ever been like, you can clearly logically discern this item would benefit you? No, ever. Never, ever, ever has a human being ever bought anything ever based on reason and logic. At a minimum, they like discern logically that this item would make them feel a different way. That's the closest we can get to reason and logic. My point is this is all emotion. Okay. So you can just set the summa to the side for a second and fix yourself so you can be a good salesman. Now you got me going. This acquiring knowledge is satisfying. Okay. I'm telling you, you know enough. You can go still study the faith, but you know enough. It's the fact that acquiring more truth is satisfying to us because it's truth. It makes us feel like, okay. But it's for you, because if you truly cared about evangelizing, you would spend that time learning how to evangelize, like what optimally evangelizes people. And it isn't the summa. Hate to break it to you. Even if there got to a point where you were dealing with someone who's hyper reasonable and they were like, well, blah, blah, blah. And then he wanted an argument. It's not going to be the thing that convinces him. It's going to be all the other stuff. So back to what tactics work for sales. What works for sales? Tonality, the way you present yourself, rate of speech, body language, presence, like your presence, not like here's a gift. All of that is what changes people's beliefs. I am telling you guys, if the secret to getting people to change beliefs, which is the heart of sales, was reason and logic, all salesmen would be just as nerdy as Catholic men. But they're not. The best salesmen are sharp. They know stuff. They're not like, well, actually, clearly, if you read Lumen Gentium, page 26, clearly said, guys, my goodness, what are we doing? They focus on all the other stuff, which is how you present yourself, how you speak, how you look, and then what you're trying to do. So that's another thing I always talk about. I always tell people, cool it with the Catholic talk when you're talking to people that aren't Catholic, because the goal should be to evangelize and bring them into the faith. And the way you do that is, okay, so if it's like sales, let's say you're selling something, right? Let's say you're selling a pen. And as soon as you meet the person, you're like, I sell pens. You look at this pen and you keep talking about the pen. Remember, it's not about the pen. The pen is simply a medium to solve a problem. It's a solution to a problem. The pen is irrelevant. In fact, this is fascinating. Prospects really don't give a shit about what they're buying usually, as long as it solves the problem. So if I'm selling a fitness program, I'm never talking about like the program. They don't care. They just care about how it's going to solve their problem of avoiding the mirror before they get in the shower. They don't care. And so what do Catholic guys do a lot? It's their whole identity. They just talk about Catholic. And that turns people off because they're not there yet. They don't realize, like, they just want a solution to their problems. They don't care about Catholicism in a sense, if that makes sense. So I wanted to talk about this because I see a lot of Catholic guys focus on the wrong things. And you really only have two missions: get yourself to heaven and get others to heaven. And you can get yourself to heaven through discipline and wisdom, tempering your vices, and being just and praying. But then how are you going to get others to heaven? You're going to have to develop the soft skills. You're going to have to develop the skills that are good for sales. And Catholic guys avoid that like the plague. Not everyone, but it's a problem in the church. I think there's a problem in any hyper-religious community that things like charisma and tonality and presence and energy is lacking. And that's a problem, because those are the things that are going to break beliefs. Remember, everything always comes back to breaking beliefs. If you want to, everyone, religion isn't unique. I mean, we think it's unique because we're Catholic and this is our lifestyle, but it's all just a belief system. And that could be broken, and that could be changed and erected and something built up and torn down. And so that's what we're really doing when we're selling. So if I get a guy on a phone call, I'm like, he's like, well, I don't know if I should sign up. Like, I've been trying to get in shape, blah, blah, blah. So he's come to me and he needs help making a decision. And my job as a salesman is to take his belief and change it so he believes that my thing is the solution to his problem. It's exactly what we do with religion. And so I know I keep kind of iterating this point, but that's how I want you to think of it when you're hanging out with someone. Just think of you as the salesman, and you'll be like, okay, well, if my item is religion, Catholicism, how do I sell this to this guy? Well, I probably shouldn't bring it up right now, because if I did that, that's not how sales works. In case no one's ever sold, the last thing you do when you're talking about selling something is the item. That's the last thing. The first thing is an hour of you just understanding their struggles, because you're a solution provider. So you get to know the people, you get to understand them. You're not talking about religion. Your tonality's on point, though. You present yourself well, you're confident, all that stuff, because that is what makes people. There's a book called, just take a side point. There's a book called Influence by Robert Cialdini. He's considered the world's foremost expert on influencing behavior. And he talks about all the things that changes people's minds. Not one of them is reason and logic. Didn't make it in the book, surprisingly. But what does make it in the book are things like authority. When someone in an authoritative position tells someone something. The whole concept of the book is that we're still mammalian. And so we have a lot of processes in our brain that just make us do automatic things. So when someone tells us something, we just believe it. So one of the reasons we do that is from authority. Or if someone was nice to us, we'll tend to be nice back, the law of reciprocity. And so there's all these things that change people's beliefs. And if you're selling, typically you want to utilize those things. So people are more prone to buy whatever you're buying, whatever you're selling. And so those are things that I think Catholic men should use. They should appear as an authority through their confidence and their discipline and their physique. These are things that play a huge role in people's belief systems. And so I could rant about this all night, but I'm really passionate about this. This is kind of the biggest flaw I see in the church, and it's the one I want to fix. And so it's not vain to be in shape. It's obligatory, because people are more influenced by fit people. People buy from more fit salesmen. It's just a fact. And so what you should be doing is thinking what variables do I need to optimize to bring as many people to Jesus Christ? And one of them is going to be get fit. One of them is going to be to master communication. One of them is going to be confident. And the way you get confident is by being disciplined. One of them is going to be charisma. Charisma can be learned. If you're not doing that, I like to ask guys and be like, how bad do you want people to come to the faith? Guys, I would love nothing more I'm the only member in my entire family, aunts, uncles, cousins, but no one in my family is Catholic. No one in my family is religious. I would like nothing more than for them to all be Catholic. But I'm playing the long game. That's all I think about. It's how to make my friends Catholic, how to make my family Catholic. I got to play the long game. I got to be obsessive about it. Imagine if I went in there and I was talking about the Summa and stuff. Some of the Catholic guys that I know, they can't not talk about Catholicism. You got to work on yourself, bro. You got to work on yourself. So these are my thoughts. Religion is very similar to sales. And if you're going to be a practicing Catholic, you're going to be a salesman, which means you got to be a good salesman, because we're not messing around here. We're talking about salvation. We're talking about the souls. It's important. So you better develop the skills that make you sell, because you're selling religion, which means put logic back in the drawer. It's not what convinces people. Find me an advertisement that like A equals B, B equals C, therefore you should buy. It's like, it doesn't exist. So just keep that in mind. And so you guys know, you guys can go look in the mirror right now and you can be honest with yourself. You can be like, what's my problem? Am I too awkward? Maybe I don't speak confidently. Am I introverted? Take your clothes off, look in the mirror, be like, is this attract people? And not sexually, you know what I mean? Just like, are you attractive? Is your energy bring people to you? These are all things that break people's belief systems. These are the things that you can make someone be like, yeah, I used to be atheist and now I love Jesus Christ. Okay. But if you're dressing like a weirdo, if you can't look people in the eye, if you are horribly awkward and you're out of shape, bro, I don't care how many lines in the Summa you memorized, you're not evangelizing a single person. This is not how humans work. It's not how humans work. Okay. Hope this was helpful. This one's more of like just like a rant, but it's something I think about a lot. So I hope this was valuable. Yeah, we started a YouTube channel, so I'm going to be building that up. So I'll be going live more often, get some content on there. Hope this was helpful. If you got value, drop a like, and I will talk to you guys soon. All right. Have a good night. God bless.